Hello, living beings of the universe. Here we are again, but this time I'm on the table because I found my tripod. Or anyway, let's go not directly straight to the video or the subject of the video, but let's give some context first. There is a deep lore involved the brand of this computer, and I will recall for the previous video for a term that I didn't use there because it would make everything more confusing. We have a saying here that you don't buy a computer in the same store you buy your wardrobe, and we usually call those PC da Casas Bahia, not sponsored. This is a store that, as I said, you buy your wardrobe, your television, your sofa, your cooker. You don't buy computers there, though you can. You can buy laptops and desktops there, and so, for some time they even sold Xboxes and PlayStations. But that was like the best they could do. Usually, it's your certified seller on computer. When they were good, they usually had like a AMD Turion or something like that. This one is like the pinnacle of the memes because we have a brand called Positivo or Positive in English that it's synonym with bad computers for a reason. Like they use the cheapest parts like Celeron processor. If you're lucky, you had a Pentium processor, usually with the standard Intel spec parts like the motherboard, the slowest RAM that they can use to keep the cost low, because that was the objective, is to make computers accessible for the masses. And given that they started when internet wasn't this thing of today and people were playing like MS-DOS like games, most people couldn't even afford to have a computer. Like you a lot of people in the 90s and even the early 2000s used it to do like a to get a loan like you do to get a car, but to buy a computer. Yeah. Or some people would buy used from people who could afford to travel to the overseas and bought it on Japan, United States, and everything like that. However, this one is not something that you could bought back in the day, at least not on the form factor that it is. And let's say certain Australian YouTuber that uses like this camera viewpoint would love this computer for many reasons. The first one's that it is green. Yeah, this is the Mobile S7. It was like a scholar version of the mobile series that Positive made back on the netbook crazy. Like this is literally the Brazilian EPC. Like yeah, but it has something special. This model specific. This one I don't know where it came from, but this design language was made so it could be used in schools. It even has drain holes for the keyboard because this was to be used by students. Uh, Supposedly, we were meant to be lent these computers to keep through the school year, and on holidays we should like give them back to school and get another one in the next school year. Actually, each school decided how to deal with it, and it was weird. Even on the same prefecture, this would happen. First thing, not all of them had the Positivo logo here. Some of them would have like this completely plain with the prefecture logo. Like a friend of mine had a green one. I think it was slightly lighter than this one, like this, around this green here, and it has the logo of the prefecture of where he used to live. The one where I lived, because that was Rio capital, was blue because everything was blue back in that time, around 2009, 2010, and we had like the special one. Like this one is similar to the one that my friend had, but to give you a little more context, most of them ran Linux. Like it could be like a scattershot of which version. We did have some Brazilian versions like Kurumin or Educational Linux made for schools. Others had like all regular Ubuntu, no Fedora. They weren't that crazy because people who could like go after what Fedora could do like were like the exception of the exception, like me. So either you lived in one of these prefectures where you had to use Linux, or if you were from Rio, capital, you actually had a blue one that could have either a plain blue top, a blue Positivo top, or a blue with the Rio Prefecture emblem on the top. But the difference between the Rio, and I don't know if other prefectures around the country use that, because it's like a mess to explain like how all the scales, because you have the federal, the states, and the municipalities, and you have like ranks of what freedoms each one had, and usually the elementary school is like a municipal thing, so yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. Not for today, and even less for this channel. But we did had a better version of this one. They had the better Celeron, not Celeron, the better Atom. Yeah, we're talking Atom here for that series, and a better screen. And instead of Linux, they ran full Windows 7 starter, as full as starter can be. But let's do something before. Let's power on thing. And I need that power cord because, yeah, batteries. It doesn't even charge, it just like has a red LED. So let's start this thing on because it's a little slow, and you eventually will know why. And yeah, it's kind of a nice screen. And it's running Windows 7, just like the one that I had here in Rio. However, even though this is a nice screen, do you know why a certain Australian YouTuber would get a kick out of this? This specific model? My finger might be giving you the answer. Look at the size of the bezel! It is a nice resolution, after all. And yeah, it's running Windows. Windows 7. Which one? The most basic possible one. The 7 Lite modded, because yeah, this is how small this is. Let me zoom this in again so you can see. Yeah, Lite 7, Lite 3.0. And yeah, you can see it is a 1.66 GHz processor, the Atom N455, with 2 gigs of RAM, which can be expanded, but that's not much of a reason to do it, because it is a 32-bit processor, you can do much more than that. However, do you know why this screen is so funny? And it's not because of the bezel. It's because though it is like a decent size 7-inch screen, the Vita's has more resolution. I mean the Vita. Well, probably the Vita's too. And yeah, this is what we're dealing with. And that's what the reason I had the taskbar being hidden. It's so I can actually use applications. So I'm not going to do anything crazy like that, but you might be getting another hint here of what's happening. But I think I let on documents, I think. Yeah, tools. I did download something, so let's go with CPU-Z first. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just used to run 64-bit computers, if the last week is anything to go by. Yeah, this is a Atom N455, as I said, a Pineview N series, a socket with big quotations, 559, 45 nanometers, like the usual hated one, and it's like the classmate variety of Intel board, and it's like PCI Express 1.0 if you want to use anything like that. It has a Phoenix BIOS, which is interesting because Positivo would use like weird BIOSes for the computers, so having a Phoenix BIOS is excellent. Actually, they did had gigabyte boards on some desktop models. So they would have like usually the Intel spec, but if you could afford a 2 dual spec machine, usually they or like a Pentium dual core, usually they would come with a modded gigabyte board. Like they would use a special BIOS made for them, just like Taltech did. They both used gigabyte boards at some point instead of the standard Intel spec one, so you could get a better computer. And yeah, the most basic graphics you can have like a GMA 3150. And let's go with GPU Z, GPU Z, however you wanna call it. It will take a billion times to load. I think it's gonna, yeah. And that's why I have to hide, because it doesn't fit on the screen. And this is like we can do. We have 133 million, supposedly, transistors. We have DDR2 memory because it's the computer memory, it's a shared memory like every Intel integrated graphics solution. It doesn't support resizable bar, obviously. This is like ancient. It supports DirectX 9. I wanna try some things given this screen. It doesn't say the memory size, but I think it's like 16 megabytes. Sensors, I love this mouse. Yeah, I love. It can't read the sensors, like, I don't know why. But yeah, I think it's 16 megabytes. I sure hope we could go like to 64 megabytes at least. But I don't think this card would be fast enough to do anything with that. Graphics, let's see. It doesn't say. Doesn't the CPU it says? Memory, no. I think in the XDR you can see. Because, yeah, this is the best we can do. Yeah, 32-bit. 2 gigabytes of RAM. Surprisingly, it has DirectX 11 installed, though this machine can't use it. Yeah. And it's funny how it reports as 1.66 gigahertz, but it's running around 1.7 gigahertz. Okay. Yeah, and it's out of time. It's like since 2010. Yeah, this is without a battery too. I forgot about that. And it's not connected to the internet because I had to relay from my phone. I want to change the Wi-Fi board on this computer because it has a single antenna, which is not a problem. But I want to put one that has also Bluetooth. So you'll understand why shortly. Let's see. Oh, actually, it's using 256 megabytes. So yeah, we can try something. And yeah, 480p, like standard definition widescreen. That's what we're dealing with here. So we can try something, but we had some problems. Let's just close this one. You notice here on documents I have a Game Boy Advance emulator. I have a folder here with the GBA emulator, because if you scale by 3 times the GBA screen, you actually get a 720 by 480 screen. So even though it stretches, it's not far off from what a Game Boy Advance screen actually is. So it's like decent to play Game Boy Advance. Like on the keyboard, because I don't have a controller set it up on this computer. And not right now. I won't do it right now, and you know why. Just a second. Another one that I have here, if I can't actually click because this mouse is like going nuts. Actually, no, it won't work with my mouse because it's out of internet. It has a ZSNES here, though I use base NES for many reasons, not for this channel also. So the main reason, it actually has Excel because this computer was sold like, yeah, computer for retro gaming and studying, which it's fine. It has Chrome, like, but no, it's better using a light version of Firefox because you saw the specs of this computer, like 2 gigabytes of RAM, 256 being reserved for the graphics. That's what we have to do. But look at this, being Windows 7 Lite, we have a 16 GB SSD, or should I say eMMC memory, but not of like any kind. I will turn off this computer and show you. But before that, let me show you the most important part of this computer, which is the keyboard. I said it has the drain holes for it, but you probably also remember that I said this was a school computer. So the best feature of this computer, its keyboard is in Sans. Yeah, a Comic Sans keyboard. Why not? With our favorite character that messes up every person try to steal a password, because even if they speak Spanish, they don't have this character here. So yeah, Portuguese keyboard, EBNT or EBNT2 for your better security. So, let's turn off this computer, because that's the best we can do. And let me get my tools, because I hadn't got them. Just give me just a second. Like, good night, Positivo. Well, back on the wide angle mode, like 0.7 zoom. This handle is not from this computer. It usually had a thick handle here on the same color of the top of the computer. And yeah, I had cleaned this computer, but I don't know what these burn marks are. Probably someone used the wrong chemical to try to clean another thing. Yeah, aluminum tape for whatever reason. And the tag. You can actually lock to this side, and to this side you actually unlock the battery, and you put here, and you can see Intel Learning Series right there. If the camera focus, it doesn't want to. And yeah, here's our Windows install, a 16 GB SD card. However, this computer can do more, but as I've said, for many reasons, not today. And this is one of the reasons I will not be installing the controller drivers right now, because though Xbox 360 drivers would run just fine, but I won't be doing now because first, it had costs cut. I don't have a video out, and I don't have the third USB and the Ethernet jack, which would be amazing. However, I think I can install it by taking the motherboard out and just soldering. I think it has all the components inside here, because even other thing that I want to do, it's possible, but not now. First, you actually pull these two tabs up, and the keyboard will unlatch from the top, like in the most MacBook or actually iBook style. And you can just reverse it here and pull up and all of that. The smell of vinegar, yeah, because of this old screen. And yeah, here's the, it's actually a nice keyboard for a laptop. Better than newer laptop keyboards. And no, I'm not bashing on the butterfly keyboard by Apple. I'm talking about like regular Windows laptops. Like, it has some flex, but it's rugged like a Dell keyboard would be, like a decent Vostro or one of the better quality Inspirons would be. Not an XPS or what is the other line? You have the XPS Latitude. Yeah, not like a Latitude or XPS quality, but like a decent Vostro or Inspiron keyboard. Yeah, you have this shield here because to protect the motherboard, because the idea is that this plastic here would like keep the liquid to going direct to the motherboard and drain around here. And I'll not be doing anything crazy because I want to take this, because this computer is pretty serviceable. However, this is the RAM. I don't think there is a second slot on this board. Not a problem, we can go with 2 gigs. And here would go a SATA hard drive. But if you notice, there is no caddy. And even worse, there is no cable to connect it. We have the connector here. And this led me to believe that the drives for these computers were destroyed. Probably this would have been thrown out. Someone rescued these computers, installed Windows 7 Lite on those SD cards, cloned on many machines, and just like put them back on the market. Which is not a bad thing. Let me connect this keyboard. And put them back on the market, which is not a bad thing, but makes them somewhat useless for some cases. Yeah, this battery is dead, but I keep it here because it balances the computer, especially because there is no hard drive. I will try to find the pieces. Actually, it's beautiful how this Atom sticker is not destroyed, because this like the first thing that would be gone in a computer that go to a school. And there is not much that I can do for this computer today. I actually just want to introduce you to one of the next projects. And yeah, that is a thing that I haven't done yet, especially to the last week's video. But I like to name my projects. And no, besides everything that happened that one, probably some of you had a suggestion that I won't use because I have another project with a specific name that I will eventually repost here with the English voiceover, because it originally was in Portuguese. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I have something planned for this computer, even with the SD card for now. But if you all want to suggest something, I'd love to take some inspiration from you. The Patreon is down in the description. I'm still waiting for the YouTube to validate my identity, so the link would work fine. But yeah, there is a Patreon down there if you want to help, give me suggestions, and everything like that. And thank you for being on this ride. It was like shorter than last week, but yeah, I had to show the most Australian thing that Brazil has to offer. And bye!